In this video, I will demonstrate how, using the ATO's own determination and practical compliance guideline, related party limited recourse loans may still be permissible to self-managed super funds and not offend the non-arm's length income rules, even using a zero interest rate. So, what is non-arm's length income? Non-arm's length income is where the ordinary or statutory income derived by a superannuation fund is more than what would be expected if the parties were dealing with each other at arm's length. The result of income being deemed non-arm's length income is the top tax rate is payable on the income rather than the concessional rate. For example, if the fund received rental from a related party considerably more than market rates, or the fund generated other gross income not consistent with an arm's length dealing. With some related party limited recourse borrowing arrangements, the rent was at market rates, but the interest charged was not. The result of this is that the taxable income of the fund was greater as no interest was deducted, but the statutory income is still on arm's length terms. Non-arm's length income, or NALI, is not a regulatory breach, so audits shouldn't be qualified on this basis. Initially, some private binding rulings got through with zero interest and 100% loan-to-value ratios without invoking NALI, as the arrangement only affected taxable income, not the statutory income. However, the ATO changed its tune and issued PBRs and IDs stating that loans not consistent with arm's length dealings did invoke NALI, as they contend no income would have been derived if the favourable related party loan wasn't provided, thus tarnishing the whole income as NALI. The ATO withdrew these IDs and changed its position again with TD 2016/16, which I will examine soon. The ATO also issued PCG 2016/5, stating the terms the ATO considers to be consistent with an arm's length dealing, in the absence of actual evidence. The ATO has announced that SMSFs with related party loans that are brought into line with terms consistent with an arm's length dealing by 31 January 2017 will not get adverse assessments for earlier income years. As such, time is running out to get these loans in order. So, TD 2016/16 says to determine whether NALI applies, you ask, is the loan on arm's length terms? If the answer is yes, there's no NALI issue. If the answer is no, we need to ask, has the SMSF derived more statutory or ordinary income than might be expected to be derived if at arm's length? If we're unsure, we ask, what would the terms have been if the parties were dealing with each other at arm's length? The ATO calls that the hypothetical borrowing arrangement. We then apply an objective test. Could or would the SMSF have entered into the hypothetical borrowing arrangement? If the answer is yes, there is no NALI issue. If it can't be demonstrated on a reasonable basis that the fund could and would have entered into the hypothetical borrowing arrangement, the ATO contends the investment would not have occurred, and as such, NALI applies. In the example, the offending scenario borrowed 100%, whereas in the hypothetical arrangement, 30% was sourced from the fund. The offending arrangement charged no interest and required no repayments of principal, whereas the hypothetical arrangement charged a benchmark interest rate and equal principal and interest repayments. In the example given, the fund had insufficient funds to pay a 30% deposit and would not have been able to afford the principal and interest payments. As such, in that example, the fund could not or would not have been able to enter into the arrangement. However, if it could be demonstrated that the fund could have met the interest and loan-to-value ratio requirements and would have, but for the related party loan, then NALI ought not be invoked. That therefore raises the possibility of zero interest related party loans and even 100% loan-to-value ratios, providing the fund can show the available cash flow. So, the practical compliance guide may be able to be used as a sword rather than a shield. Evidence is critical to the arrangement, and of course, this video is the author's opinion and should not be relied upon without tailored advice. If you would like to discuss this or any other superannuation matter, please call me, Kieran Hoare, of Merthyr Law to discuss.